Welcome to Legion Radio, a podcast about all things e-commerce, the official podcast of the private label Legion, hosted by Tim Jordan.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Legion Radio, where we're talking about all sorts of e-commerce stuff. And today, as our guest, we're bringing you our very own e-commerce Justin Bieber. And I say that because he is our first, that I know of, Canadian guest. And I feel like that's quite the milestone, Norm. Do you feel like that's something to brag about, or maybe I'm overhyping it?
When you said Justin Bieber, I thought it was the hairstyle.
Yeah. For those of you that can't see, Norm is pretty hairless up top, but he makes up for it with this fantastic bespoke Viking beard that it's not even supposed to be shaped that way, right? Didn't you get like the trident forks going because you recently caught your beard on fire?
That's it. Yeah, it looked like Yosemite Sam.
That's awesome. So we got our first Canadian Viking that has recently caught his face on fire. That's a great way to start things off. So Norm, thanks for being on. If you guys are listening to this podcast, like it on whatever podcast platform you're on, iTunes, Podbean, SoundCloud, whatever it is. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up on this video. We need a little YouTube love. Y'all show us some love on this if you like what we're doing. So I met Norm, I don't know, maybe several months ago, earlier this year. And I immediately liked him. I remember JB mentioning Norm, although they never met. JB said, I think I'd like that guy, just going off of Facebook pictures, right? From a bunch of groups. I think I'd like that guy because he has a nice beard. And then I met Norm, and he's a fine cigar connoisseur like myself. And I thought, hey, we'll all get along. So ever since then, it's been a real pleasure to know Norm and get to know him. And pretty smart guy. He's done a lot of cool stuff. He's shown me some ridiculously amazing spreadsheets and algorithmic stuff that they do on their product launching and ranking and all sorts of cutting edge stuff. I know, Norm, you've got like an MIT graduate on staff that does your PPC. Is that right?
Yeah, we have not only that, but we hire from MIT, basically the equivalent to MIT and Harvard in India as well.
Wow, that's pretty hardcore. And you've been doing e-commerce for a long time. What I'd like to do is let's kind of get into your story a little bit, because I know in the past you've told me some pretty crazy stuff, even better than your beard catching on fire, which is hard to top. And I'd just like to know a little bit about kind of where you came from. I know that you're one time working for a corporate, Fortune 500 company, and then you accidentally kind of fell into this e-commerce thing, right? Can you tell us about that, and how long ago was that?
Right. Well, I never worked for them. I've never worked for anybody in my life except for the military for a few years. So we had a promotions company, and we were selling basically incentive items, the old trinkets and trash, pens and key chains and stuff like that. But we had the contract with this Fortune 500 company, and they called me in one day and they said, this goes way back, mid-90s. Oh, we're trying to do this thing where we can take our dealers and put them onto a pen, and we want to have a website to do this. And I looked at it and I went, the entrepreneurial thing, they said, well, can you do that? I said, oh yeah, I can do it.
It's the mid-90s. I could build anything.
Yeah. Slightest idea how to do this, right? So I had to go and I started sourcing, and I ended up getting some programmers out of India, and we ended up putting this together, and everything worked out fine. But the nice thing was that started a whole other company, which at the time was pretty much cutting edge. It was logos on demand and all this other stuff on demand that I could get out of India, which was pretty cool back in 1995.
Yeah. So basically mid-90s, I know that was back like when Steve Simonson, some of those OGs were getting started in this whole thing. It's interesting you said you were sourcing out of India. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Which to me is interesting because I know everybody associates sourcing with China. We, of course, have a large presence and a lot of experience in China. And we're just now venturing into the India market. I'll be there later on this year on a sourcing trip with another group. So you're like extra OG, right? Because you were even doing India before everybody else was.
Yeah. And I don't know if you ever heard this story, but my family, so my father, my brother, and I started a company. It was a manufacturing company in Canada, US, but we ended up over in Taiwan. And this was 15, 17 years ago. So Yeah, we had when Taiwan was probably the best priced country in the Pacific Rim. We were there manufacturing products for people.
Wow. So you've been a lot of places. And I also know there's this great story that you've got about some boats in Vietnam, right?
Oh, yeah.
So now we've gone from India to Taiwan. I know you've done a lot of stuff in China, but you're cruising around Vietnam with, let's just make up something great. Like you're working with the Vietnamese mafia, right? And the mafia father has got you roped into a business deal because you owe him some money because your money laundering venture broke down. All right, this is going too far. Let's just go back. Let's go back to the real story. All right. So you're in Vietnam sourcing. I know that sounds way more boring, but we'll stick with it. So tell us about your whole boat experience.
Okay, so we were looking at furniture. The furniture, the wood in Vietnam is incredible. So that's what we were looking for. So we were with a delegation, and we ended up at this one factory. And the person said, "Oh, you want to take a look at the back? We also manufacture wood boats." And so I started looking at them, and I went, "Holy crap! These are really incredible boats. They were high end, like the Napoleon or the Victory, just tall ships." And I knew the Miami Boat Show was coming up in a couple of months. And
So these are just models. These are decorations.
Boats. Yeah.
Okay.
The ones that you'd see above a fireplace or,
Yeah.
But gorgeous. So Miami Boat Show is coming up in a few months. And I thought, well, maybe I'll take a chance on these. So I ordered a container load on the spot. They made them for me. They got them over to Miami. We unloaded them and nothing. Not a bite. Nobody was interested in the boat.
You've got a booth set up here, like at the trade show?
And actually, the booth was right beside the guy that invented Crocs, and he was just getting off the ground. He gave us a bunch of Crocs. He was just starting.
So Crocs was a boating item. I guess it was a deck shoe originally?
Deck shoe. Yeah.
And that makes sense. Non-slip, it's not going to mess up a nice deck, surface. And so Crocs went from like a high-end Miami Boat Show boating accessory to like camo redneck. You wear them with high socks to Walmart.
Exactly.
Crocs is kind of taking a fall. I almost feel bad for them.
They made enough money.
Yeah, they did. All right. So you're sitting next to the Crocs guy at the Miami Boat Show.
So
still like late 90s now?
Yeah, it would be in around that time. So now a woman on Sunday, so we've gone Friday, Saturday, Sunday with nothing, maybe one sale. She goes, "What's wrong with your boats?" I'm looking at, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Well, there's a Chinese booth over there, and they look to be a lesser quality, but they're higher price." We went back over, and sure enough, their boats weren't near our quality, and they were $2,500 to $3,500 each. Ours were $750. So got into the car, went over to Kinko's at the time, and new prices, $2,500. It was probably our highest price, $2,500, and we ended up selling out except for 7 boats. And we were able to do that for 2 more shows. But then the Chinese caught on, and then we couldn't compete. But the beautiful part about it, and this is my most profitable business transaction, is each one of those boats cost me $85 landed.
85 landed?
Landed.
So I feel like there's a lesson in there, and that lesson probably has something to do with perceived value, right?
Yes.
All right, that's super important. So let's just like take lesson 1 off of this, and let's talk about that for a second. Perceived value. I know that that's very important with, even what we do in e-commerce businesses, even on a platform like Amazon, where you would think that lowest price wins, and that's not always the case. We frequently see some of the best ranked and best selling products on a search result page. They're the same as everything else, but just a little bit more expensive. How do you think that people's psychology comes into play here? And how can we use that information to readjust not just our value proposition and our profits, but maybe even sales rank based on perceived value? Coming at it like from the, I'm an Amazon seller, give me some wisdom, Mr. Norman, because I know you're in the Amazon space too. So perceived value when it comes to Amazon listings.
So, and I can give you a great example, but if you're selling something recurring, it's incredibly important. A person, part of the customer experience, and they don't realize it, is when they receive it and they open it up. So just for example, so if let's say you're taking a package of soap, And you could take the bar and you can have it in a real cheap package, and it's called the tuck box. Tuck opens at the top, and you just pull the soap out. Or you can unveil the package, and you can put it in a nice micro corrugate, and it has a nice message on it. The difference between the one and the other is that cheap tuck box would probably cost me 15 cents, or the better quality packaging is 15 cents difference, but I could probably get $7 more on the soap. And right now, that's a true statement, because we've done that. One of the products I sell is soap, and it's just high perceived value soap. And you can do this with just packaging it up properly. But I'll tell you another story, and some people have heard me tell this story, but this was incredible. A guy came to me with toe wart remover. Okay? And
we went from soap to toe wart remover.
Yeah.
Norm, is there like a theme with your products? Is this why your hair's falling out? You've been in the lab testing these
That's it.
creams and soaps and all that mess?
I'm the guinea pig. So this toe wart remover came in a box that was powder blue with a yellowish toe with a big wart on it. And when you opened it up, it was a brown package. So it looked horrible. And the guy came, and he's been on Amazon for 18 months, hasn't sold anything. We took at it. We said, first of all, let's change around the perceived value by marketing it differently. Let's make it more of a wellness and natural product. So we turned it from browns and yellows and blues to green, blues, and whites. It made it really crisp. But we put it into green bottles with a nice sharp label. And when you opened it, same sort of thing. You opened up the package, there was a nice insert card, and there was a message from the manufacturer about the product. Well, not only did it go the first month, it went from 0 to 28,000, 0 to 8,000. The next month was 28,000, and the next month was 68,000. All right, $68,000 a month, and we raised the price from $9.99 to $23.99. And at its height, it was close to $120,000. And the guy, he didn't believe me that I could get the price over $9.99. If we would have kept it at that price at the height, he would have made $2,100. Now he's making $71,000 a month profit.
Holy cow. And there's a few things you did there. It was packaging. I'm sure it was overall branding, how you marketed this thing, but you didn't actually change the product. It was still the same old crap in a bottle, right? Yep. So man, that's huge. So this guy's bringing in over 70,000 a month in profit, not in sales, literally because you made people think that it was better than the other packaging or than the other branding.
Right. And you can do that. Like we've done that with shampoos, where we've taken a shampoo from a $19 product and brought it up to a $30 product. In fact, right now, we just did a launch in December, and the product was already selling. It was a knife. It was a chef's knife, a high-end chef's knife. The guy was selling it like for $54. And the packaging was it was actually quite nice. We made a few tweaks to it. We made the eye box, like a box similar to the eye box. So when you put it up, it takes a bit of time. It unveils the product. It's gorgeous. So what happened, we got it from 54 up to, we're targeting 124, but right now it's at about 99, and it's killing it in the niche. It's packaging, it's the interaction back and forth, like even the customer service. You have to live your brand. And the nice thing about this customer is he actually lives his brand.
Nice. Man, that's huge. We've got a product line that we're working on now, and we will be unveiling it soon because we're not currently selling it on Amazon, and we're actually going to put our face to it. And what you said, living the brand. One thing we've noticed about specifically Amazon products is like, I can't talk about it publicly because everybody steals our ideas, but we've got something that works that we can actually share. And we're actually excited about the perceived value gain to the clients by putting our faces on this product or on this brand. It's going to be awesome. A lot going on there. So you've sold boats from Vietnam. You've worked in Taiwan. You have sold keychains and all sorts of stuff. You're the Justin Bieber Viking of Canada. And all of this has culminated into you becoming an e-commerce expert, or quote unquote expert, right? I guess that's a subjective, kind of up for interpretation thing. But I'm going to call you an expert, Norm, if that's all right with you.
That's
so
okay.
Right now, you're specializing in a lot of things.
Yeah.
You've got your own products that are doing well. You're also helping other people launch and sell their products through various services and tactics and techniques and expertise. And I know one thing that you have expressed, that you do a lot to me is helping people rank, right? Helping rank their products, helping people show up higher on search results page. And I'd like to talk a little bit about that because ranking has almost turned into a little bit of a taboo term. Would you agree with that? And can you explain maybe what I mean by that to our listeners?
Well, yeah, even the ranking right now, it's kind of scary because I've seen all sorts of people talk about ranking, and I don't know if it's true ranking. True ranking has to last. Yeah. And I could put somebody on first page today, tomorrow. They'll be ranking first page tomorrow, but will it stick? Yeah. So there is a trick. When I'm talking about ranking, I'm talking about a consistent, your product is consistently ranking for those keywords.
And I know that you're talking about Amazon right now, but this could apply to Google search results. It could apply to, Etsy. It could apply to, basically anything. So ranking is basically how quick you come up when people are searching for whatever keyword we're targeting. And you're right. I've used the analogy of a rocket. We load up these rockets full of fuel. We blast them off. They run out of fuel and they fall back down to the ground. That's not I don't like a launch like that. I like legitimate. We won't even say organic because we can manipulate it, but legitimate ranking. And what I have seen to work best, especially on the Amazon platform, is just bring traffic to your listing, right? And I know that sounds easy, but holy cow, that's hard. Everybody's talking about Instagram and, Facebook and TikTok and all this, SEO and all this stuff. And a lot of that works. A lot of it's pretty complicated. A lot of it is very new, and it kind of goes up and down with different algorithmic changes. The Facebook slap that happened a couple of years, wrecked some things. But the approach that you're taking, or one of the primary approaches that I want to talk about now, is a little bit more old school than that, right?
Right.
And it is literally using press releases. So you're going to have to explain this because you haven't even told me in depth what this is. I just know you use press releases, and I think of press releases, I think of like Mad Men, 1950s ad agencies putting stuff out in the Wall Street Journal, but you're literally using press releases, which I know gets all sorts of shares all over the internet, and it's eventually driving stuff back to where we want it to go. So give us the 10, 15-minute explanation of why you're using press releases, how you're using them, and the results that you're finding by doing this.
Okay. So
I'm going to interrupt whenever I feel like it. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. So the first thing is I do want to back it up with, we use Amazon sponsored ads, and we also try to drive some other traffic.
Yeah.
Primary focus for us over the last few years on Amazon. So I can show case studies back to 2017 on press releases. So I heard this from another group, and they were talking about using press releases at the time, and I thought, wow, I'll give it a shot. And so the key was putting out many press releases. I tell people all the time, we are very successful. Our last 23 product launches this year, so from December to now, we've been successful with launching and ranking products. We've got some case studies where we've got it from day one, and we're taking screenshots all the way through. You can show where the press release goes out and where the product spikes. And then if it drops, we put out another press release. So the system's pretty simple. But I want to just go back and address, press. If I came up to you, Tim, and I met you at an event and said, yeah, just use press releases, I know what your reaction was. Everybody does. It's yeah, and walk away, So
I'm actually going to argue with you and say you're not the first person recently that has talked about press releases. CJ Rosenbaum, the attorney, Amazon sales lawyer, he's a friend of ours. He is using them and has been telling me he's using them for website ranking, like just standard WordPress SEO ranking. So there are other people that are doing this. And those of you who are listening, I'm only saying that to tell you that Norm is not crazy. Well, he's a little crazy. but he's not lying. Like, this actually works, which is shocking to me that something, that we perceive as so old is still working. So, but yeah, you're right. Most people, if you said press releases, they look at you like you were, nuttier than a squirrel turd.
Yeah, and they do, So, and here's the secret. Like, if you're using a press release, the old school guys, they went back and they put out the press releases. They put them out on a regular basis. It was great quality content, and they had, keywords. They knew how to construct it. What happened, the second generation came out, and they thought, okay, we're going to do this, but they do it on the cheap. They go to the free services, or they go to the services that cost next to nothing. They don't know how to put together a press release. They write the press release themselves to save a couple of dollars. And what happens is they don't get the exposure. It's like the old, what is it called? The link farm, days when there was thousands of just terrible links. Same thing. So going to some of these free services could actually hurt your listing or hurt your Google ranking. So what ends up happening is they go and complain on the internet that it's not working because they don't know how to do it. And then the guys coming, or taking courses, hear about press release and they go on the internet and, it doesn't work. Well, it's not the case. So if you construct it, first of all, you need to find a good press release company. And press release company, you want to make sure when you're contacting them that you can see their distribution report. So the distribution report has to have high quality links in them: ABC, NBC, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post. So you've got a mix of search engines, media outlets, journalists. So if you're using, some of them link to Harrow, help a reporter out. It'll go out to 55,000 journalists. They could pick it up. But there should be a potential reach of probably over 50 million. Like, I know.
So one of the big criteria to determine whether a press release agency is good or not really comes down to their network. It's how many relationships they have with other audiences, other platforms. So this is not a good press release company is not something that just pops up. Like, these are probably very established relationship connections that took a very long time to put together. Is that probably a fair statement?
Yes. So a press release company will distribute the press release through different distribution networks. So some of them are proprietary. Other ones, anybody can go and take part in. Like, if you're, I believe, Yahoo Finance, you can go and, pay a price and be published. But you get that into a package. And the typical press release will have a typical high-end press release will probably have anywhere from 100 good connections to about 500. And then you can buy additional services like Reuters. Reuters will get you an extra 30 million reach, and Yahoo Finance will get you up to 1,400 extra websites. So,
and is there like an average cost for all of that?
If you're doing a press release at around $100 and up, and I would say like a written press release done for you for, you could go from about $100 up to about $300. And then video press releases can run anywhere from $200-$300 up to $1,000.
Wow. I'm actually making notes on my phone. And I've never really do this, but like, you're giving me so much information. I'm literally thinking about things right now that I need to be implementing right now. I've never done that before in a podcast, but I'm like making notes. I'm like, oh, I have these great ideas from Norm. I don't want to put that down, or I don't want to forget that. I need to put it down. So these numbers to me sound bafflingly low. I mean, that seems like a lot of views for some of these big platforms. Now, you've still got to pay the agency. They've got to pay, you're going to charge you for the rights to go on these platforms. What about creating the content? Because not just any old content can be a press release, right? Like, we actually need to word this as a newsworthy thing. And that is probably something that any and all of us could do with just a few examples, right? Like, that's probably not super difficult.
What I found is that most of these places, even if I go out and try to find a press release writer, I've done it 1,000 times, and usually they're blog article writers, and they're completely different birds. A press release writer is very specific. Now, you can go on and you could try to hire them freelance to do it for you, but I've found most of the time when freelancers coming from like if you go to Upwork, for example, for us, our experience is they'll be rejected.
Oh, so there is, even if you can cough up the money, if this isn't good content that's press release worthy, then they're not going to put it out there. So, all right, well, I'm glad I asked you that, because I'm sitting here thinking like we all do, I can do that. But you're saying, don't, Tim, you cannot write a press release. So the components we have here, we need someone to write our press release. We need a agency that has the correct connections to the distribution channels. And then we have, we potentially also have to cough up some money specifically for some of these channels that the agency is going to connect us with, right? So kind of three components here.
Well, yes. The second part, like usually the agency, so you'll have the cost of writing the press release, then you'll have the submission to the distribution networks. So you can picture us, and I'm saying us, this worked so well for me, I bought a press release company. So what we'll do is we take a look, and a press release comes up, and we'll either approve it or reject it. Now, most people get pissed off when we, reject it, but we're protecting them from the network. So if we go into our distribution network and we say, "Hey, NBC, ABC, take a look at this," if we find the problem and tell you to revise it, it's free. We can just go ahead and pass it through. But if it goes over to a distribution network and all of a sudden they say, "No, you've got grammatical errors, we're not going to put that on the Washington Post," you lose your money. You lose the press release.
Yeah.
So then people get upset because, we've told them to, here's the error. They never fixed it, and they want us to publish it. So we hit a button and boom, it goes over to Washington Post, and they say no, and you lose your full amount. So it's always good for me. Those numbers, it's so inexpensive to get national exposure for your product. You're going from coast to coast. You're going in some cases, into Europe, all over the world. But most of it is concentrated here in North America. You can't publish one, but I would recommend that every Amazon and every brand have at least one press release published at least once a quarter, because you have to look like you're one of the big boys. If you're out there and somebody's looking for you, which they do on Amazon, they don't know who you are. Well, if they see that you just had, especially if it's a video, but if you have a video on ABC's site or on Boston Globe, they take you like it's serious. And so that's one of the things these distribution reports will do as well. So just to give you an example, the title in the press release probably carries about 80-90% of the weight of the whole press release in ranking. Okay? So similar to an Amazon title, it has to be structured right. With your keywords, don't put your brand in it. Take your main keyword phrase. You can take a secondary keyword phrase, but you want to make sure that it just reads well, and then you can end with a benefit, or you can end with a region. So with with good press release companies, Tim, you could go out and write one article on bully sticks and say that you're providing some form of research in Tampa, Florida. And I could be ranked number one in Tampa within 24 to 48 hours for bully sticks launches, beef tendons, grass-fed bully sticks. It would dominate that area. And this is constant. So when we run a report, we go to the 500 different distribution networks that we work with, and we extract any in-title. We follow the keyword combinations. And so this one just happened, and it was for bully sticks, where we got over 400 pickups, and we were ranked 179 times on page one, all sorts of different combinations, within 48 hours. And we were number one on Google for 131 keyword phrases.
Wow. And you're typically not driving this traffic to an Amazon listing. This is probably going to like an e-commerce store.
No, that's the beauty of it. So typically you can I run multiple. So when I rank and launch, going back to that, so I'm looking at ranking and launching. I'm going to do it over a 2-week period. I'll usually run 4 press releases or 8 press releases, depending on the content or depending on the competitiveness and the search volume of the keywords.
Okay.
So I'll do it over a 2-week period. I'll publish them on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's the best days to publish a press release where they get the most pickups. And then once they launch, I'll link them. The first link, so let's say it's natural bully sticks. Well, guess where it goes? Over to my Amazon listing. My Amazon listing gets 500 authority links. Well, Amazon loves external traffic. I don't know why, but I think that's one of the reasons why when we rank on Amazon, we stay. We're publishing 8 press releases, and we'll either, if it's a variation, the first link goes over to the Amazon listing. The second link could go to a variation. Maybe I have rawhide. Well, I could do that second link and drive that over to a cross-promoted product. Or, and I was talking to you about this just before we got on the call.
Yeah.
Create your press release, and you're talking about how bully sticks are good for digestion, and then you write your blog article, a high-quality 1,500 to 2,500 word blog article. That's 7 reasons why bully sticks are good for digestion. So they tie in together, and you link your second or third link over to your blog article.
This is amazing. So let's say, I know this is really tough for you, but let's say we have a listener here who wants to start ranking better on their product. They're selling on Amazon. They may have, a Shopify store or something set up. What does it typically cost per product to initiate this sequence if they had to outsource it all, right? To get these press releases. And is that something you said that they probably need to, I know with Amazon it changes, based on competitiveness, but if they were going to do this once every couple months, or once every quarter, what does that usually cost each time? Is there just a ballpark?
Yeah, at least on our end, we actually have an Amazon launching service for the press releases, and it'll go 4, 8, or 12 press releases. And I think the 4-pack, which is 4 done-for-you video press releases, I think it's about $900 or something like that. But generally speaking, if you're going to buy a video press release in quantity, you're probably done for you. So you don't have to, all you have to do is provide, the topic, okay? And the topic could be anything. So we don't know your product. Our research team will go out there and find what's being talked about, but we have to know, is it good for digestion? Give us some of your features and benefits, and we'll take it from there. You don't lift a finger. And then what will end up happening is we'll write the copy, you approve it, and let's say it's those 4. And that goes on the Tuesdays and the Thursdays, 2 times a week. What you need to do is coordinate that with some full purchase buys. So the reason I'm kind of skipping around the answer is that you have to include the price of the full purchase buy as well as the press release to have the magic really happen.
All right. So this all sounds great. You're here in your bearded glory giving us this amazing wisdom. It sounds amazing. It sounds like cutting edge because really nobody's talking about this. I know that I have had people, do this and it works. But can you prove that it works? Can you give some real life examples so we know you're not completely full of doo-doo?
Full of doo, 3/4.
3/4. And I know you're not, but everybody that's listening to this right now needs to understand, hey guys, this is not a joke. Like this is something that I've kind of been watching from the sidelines. We have not implemented it yet, but believe it or not, like I was making some notes. When we stop recording, Norman and I are talking business because I got some stuff he's going to do for us. But I want you guys to hear, and Norm's kind of shared some of this with me already, some case study information and some percentages of success or failures based on launches of this type for Amazon products. This is powerful and it's not that expensive. So Norm, hit us with some numbers here. Okay.
So I'll give you one and all of this is based on the quality of your brand, the perceived value. So we recently did a foot elevation pillow. Okay. So it was done. It was pretty bulky. It was expensive. It was a brand new launch out of the gate. We created 4 press releases to go out that month. We did 2 one 1,500 word and one 2,500 word article. We launched the e-commerce site. We put the blog articles on and we pinged. So, got indexed right away. And then we went and we coordinated the press releases. The press releases went out over a 2-week cycle with some rebates. The first 3 or 4 days, it was incredible. You could actually see prior to the rebates going out, the press release making this product just go straight up. It was just like a rocket. And then it came down, and then the second press release on the Thursday brought it back up, and then that coordinated the rebates. So what does that mean? It's the product sold out. The product completely sold out. And so the problem was we didn't anticipate that. It was a Chinese-based product, and it took another 4 to 6 weeks to come back. Well, we did it again, and we sold out.
That's a great problem to have.
Yeah. So anyways, it's a tough product because even when I was running the numbers, the leader in the field weren't churning the numbers that we were doing.
Yeah.
So that's the first one. The other one, you remember I was telling you about that chef knife? There was this.
Yes.
So there's this high-end chef's knife, and the inventory was supposed to come in. It was supposed to come in November. It only ended up reaching us the 3rd week in December, pretty much the week of Christmas, and we missed it. We missed the whole Christmas season, but we ran 8 of these press releases. We ran, and I'll give you an example. We ran, one of the keywords is chef's knife. So I didn't explain this before, but what we're doing is when we're doing our keyword research, well, what do you put onto those press releases? What keywords? So we'll go out and we're going to find 3 or 4 primary keywords. So in this case, let's say it's chef's knife. Okay. The other one could be multi-purpose knife. The other one could be Japanese knife. And then you find all the low-hanging fruit, all the long tails that go along with that. So 8-inch chef's knife, 8-inch Damascus chef's knife, 8-inch Japanese blade chef knife. And you start looking at them and you look at the search value and you don't promote, you do not touch chef's knife. Chef's knives would require 700 and some odd units, 770 units.
Yeah.
What we did is all the low-ranking long tails, and we promoted about 6 to 12 of those, and we ended up giving away 160. With chef's knife, you would have to do 770, or like most people, we took that and it would be a percentage of. We don't give out the 770.
Yeah.
We ended up doing 100 the first portion and then another 60 a bit later. The results, you could see each time the press release went out. We ran it. So this is a tip for anybody listening. Run your rebates and run your press releases. So you run your rebate campaign between 5 and 7 days. We run it for 14, but you run the first portion of it 5 and 7 days. Then you stop it for 2 or 3 days, and you want to see if any of the keywords drop. If they drop right off the bat, they're not indexed. So you go back and you check it. You can go to any of your favorite, keyword indexing tools. Move it from, bullets, search terms, subject matter, title, play around with it in the title, and then re-release it. And it should stick. And you can do this, and you can very easily. So many people that I've seen so many times, they go and they buy all these keywords, and they're not even bloody well ranking. Like they're not indexed.
Yep. That's insane. And I like what you said too. You're not even targeting these really, really competitive short tail keywords. We say that all the time. You can target the 4 or 5 long tail, less volume keywords much easier, and they'll stack up, frequently to the same volume as that one keyword that everybody is fighting in the trenches over. And we're flying below the radar because we're stretched out over 6 or 7 keywords. And it's cheaper, it's easier, we stick longer, and we still have the same number of total sales. So.
Right. Now I'm going to show you, it just happened to have, I can share my screen if you like.
Yeah, go for it.
There's some pretty cool
Those of you that are listening to just the audio, you can't see it. But if you go to YouTube and look for Legion Radio Norman Farrar, Norman, then skip forward to this part. You'll be able to see this. So yeah, Norm, go ahead and share your screen with us.
All right, just let me put these over here. So this happens to be the knife promotion. And let's see, I got it. It's all three there. Primary. Okay, so I'll share my other screen. And you should see some graphs here.
Yes, that's huge.
Okay, so this is the knife. It launched on December 15th or 17th. And you can see right where it started. That's the start. And then we ran it for 2 days, and then we hit it again, and we ran it 4 times. We ran it 8 times for the knife. And look what's happened. Now, the secret is that once you get it going, don't let it drop. So as you can see, it dropped over a period of time here. And so what did we do? We just hit another couple press releases, did a few more rebates, and all of a sudden it's stuck. So that's the first long tail keyword. Started at on the 15th, right here, it tells you the date, December the 15th to 219th, and now we're just number 1. And by the way, we have, last week we had 33 Amazon Choice badges with this. And we're doing nothing special for that. Okay, so here's another one. So this one, again, is started on the 13th. And you can see where it launched. A couple days later, skyrocketed. And then we started hitting it. Now, this took a bit longer. It was a bit more of a competitive keyword. But we eventually, over time, it came up. Now, this keyword this was an ultra competitive keyword that used 2 keyword phrases together. And so it kind of just came up naturally. We weren't even targeting this keyword. It was beautiful. Awesome. The next one, this one I love. Okay. So this is the primary keyword. Now it usually does not, this does not normally happen. There's different ways that you'll see this perform. But this time, the primary keyword ended up with all those, because we targeted 6, 8 different long tails, it ended up skyrocketing and sticking. And where we would have had to give away 770 units, it did it for free, and we're sticking right across the board. Now, normally that doesn't happen. Normally it goes up, it comes down, it comes up. It's more like a heartbeat because we're not targeting it specifically. But I've seen it on so many occasions where the seed word like this outranks the low-hanging fruit.
That's crazy. So what are you doing about reviews? Because I know if you rank this high and you get into a very competitive search page result, you can stick there, but you might have some trouble if you're not getting reviews. Are you also somehow getting reviews in conjunction with this?
Yeah, we'll do, when we're doing a campaign like this, a lot of the times, first of all, the product's great quality. We follow up with a very simple sequence, and we ask for a review, and typically we get them. Now, we're fortunate enough that we've been building our own customer base for the last few years, and we've got quite a few people that we can just send out just an email to saying, hey, and we know that they're in the kitchen niche. Okay, boom, we know they're going to love, $125 knife, and, we can get them to try out the knife and then just leave a review. Yeah.
Man, this is amazing. So those of you that can't see this, what's basically happening is he's got the helium-10. What chart is this? What's the name of this?
This is just their keyword tracker chart.
Yeah, the keyword tracker tool, where it shows the ranking position. And basically, they start from one position, they make a couple bumps and just stay at the top. I mean, this is very consistent over a year. I've never seen one this consistent that came about from an artificial launch like this. This is huge, Norm. Really, those of you that are not watching this on YouTube, go to YouTube, watch this, and look at these screenshots. It's pretty incredible.
I found another one too that might be. This is more of the style. Okay, so this is another one that's just great. So this one, we ended up. This wasn't a keyword that was targeted at all. It wasn't chef's knife. It wasn't, 6-inch whatever knife.
Yeah.
This was not on the radar. So as you can see, we go back, it's kind of all over the place, right? And then what ended, and this was one of the, this is not the one. I thought this was the same knife. This isn't. But okay, so anyways, I can tell you with this one, it's something similar, but this is kind of the pattern that you'd normally see. It would come up, it might
start
drop,
to slip, you'd bump it back up.
and then right here, and I know what this product is. They were all over the map, and then we hit this one. This is a primary key. I always can tell because it's got the P right there. This was the primary seed word, and it with our press releases, as you can see, it came right up.
That's awesome.
Without ranking for it at all.
Man, that is so huge. That is so good. Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. I know we're getting kind of close to time. We need to start wrapping up. We're turning into a longer one, which is always encouraging. The longer ones mean we're sharing a lot of great information. So Norm, if people wanted to get in touch with you to outsource the launch system that you guys offer, how can they do that? What website can they go to?
They can go to our press release company, which is PR Reach. So there's 2 R's in there, prreach.com. And if they let us know that they've heard us here, we'll give them a discount.
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, let them know you heard from them on Legion Radio, the podcast here, or the Private Label Legion YouTube channel, and they'll hook you up with a discount. Thank you, Norm. Just so you guys know, I did not ask for that. That's Norm just throwing out discounts to you guys out of the love and kindness of his heart. So we've also put the link down in the show notes below, prreach.com. And thank you, Norm, for being on. Any last 30-second words of wisdom, e-commerce related or not, that you can share with our listeners before we sign off?
Oh, man. I think the biggest thing is just be resilient. This business, you wake up one day, you get that email, and you feel like you just want to crawl in the fetal position. You just got to be resilient.
That's it. Yep. Couldn't agree more. Keep on keeping on. Never been a better time to be an entrepreneur than it is right now. And if you screw up and you make mistakes and you take some big hits, that's just you gaining valuable experience and wisdom. That's an investment in your future success. So don't let it keep you on the ground. Get up and keep on running. Well, thank you again, Norm. For those of you that are listening to the end of this podcast, appreciate you sticking with us. We really hope and believe that you probably got some great value out of this, something that you can apply to your business, something that you can apply to what you guys are doing for ranking and product launches. Even if you're not selling products, if you're selling services, hey, check out this whole concept and this whole delivery system of press releases. Reach out to Norm, prreach.com. Look him up on Facebook. You can't miss him. If you look up Norman Farrar, Farrar, he's pretty distinguishable, so you're not going to miss him. Bald guy with a huge Viking beard. Check him out. Send him a message. Tell him you heard him on this podcast, and maybe he'll not ignore your message and show you some love. All right, Norm. Thanks again. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.
Radio. We'll catch you on the next one.
You've just wrapped up another episode of Legion Radio, hosted by Tim Jordan. Past episodes, links, and show notes can be found at privatelabellegion.com.